welcome again to the Annie's Project Coffee Shop. I know we lost Ruth, but
I'm fine.
And so we're going to go to Madeline here, and I think Ruth will be up and running by the time Madeline finishes.
Well, good morning, everyone. Great
I am back now.
Hi, Ruth. We're so glad you're back. Let's turn it back to you to go ahead and introduce yourself.
I am so sorry for the technology, folks. Days it works and days it don't. So welcome, everyone. Yes, I am Ruth Hamilton. I'm going to leave the video off. So just imagine this beautiful sunshiny place that I'm sitting in. And to tell you that I'm the founder of Annie's Project. We're headed for our 20th year with this program. And I'm very pleased that we're here to have this coffee shop to share what our vision is for the next few years in Annie's Project.
Well, thanks so much, Ruth. We're glad you were able to join us again. So I am Madeline Schultz. I am the president of the Annie's Project board, serving my first term as president and third year as a member of the board. So I've been involved with Annie's Project since 2008. As an extension professional here at Iowa State University. So I'm coming to you from Ames, Iowa today. And I have a family that is very involved in agriculture. My husband and I have beef cattle, and I really love to help my daughter with her dairy farm. So anyway, I've been very fortunate to be a part of Annie's Project over the years. Similarly to Dee, Annie's Project has really led to lots of other great women in ag programming in our state as well over the years. So our first Annie's Project program was in 2004, and currently tonight is actually the second class of our 126th Annie's Project here in Iowa. So it's been a real privilege to be a part of that.
Marvelous. Thank you, Madeline. Carisha, if you'd like to share your slides with us, that would be terrific. So today is a continuation of a coffee shop that we have going. Our coffee shop started in March of this year, and we decided that it was so successful that we would continue to offer coffee shops on a quarterly basis. And the coffee shop will talk about different ideas and issues with Annie's Project, and really feature our board of directors so you can get to know them and get to know a lot more about Annie's Project as well. So today we are talking about Annie's Project strategic priorities, and we'll talk a little bit about the process here that we took to get to our strategic priorities. So fall of 2020 into late winter, early spring of 2021, we started our strategic priorities process. And just before I go on, just to remind everyone, if you could self-mute, that would be awesome. If you're not speaking right now, that would be great. Thank you so much. So back to the strategic priorities process. It was a fairly lengthy process. We wanted to make sure that we really involved people. So several of you that are on our session today participated in the first step of this process, the strategic futuring, where we had brainstorming with stakeholders. And we took that brainstorming, all those ideas that were generated, and we brought those to the Annie's Project board. And the Annie's Project board, as you can see, was involved in several steps. They did some forecasting. So they kind of looked at the future, what might Annie's look like? And then from there, looked at that kind of desired future and looked at your input from stakeholders on what you thought the future should look like. And then took that back to some backcasting and kind of figured out from where we're at now, how did we need to get to our desired future? And then we laid out some strategic priorities and then some action steps, which started out being laid out by the Annie's Project board, and then we brought on an advisory committee as well to Annie's Project, and they've been involved in this process as well. So we just wanted to give you a little brief rundown here before we get started. We're going to have plenty of time for Q&A and for conversation here. But we'll move to the next slide, and Carisha.
Thank you, Doris. So one of the things that's been revised has been our vision and mission. One of the things that we realized when we were looking at where we started and where we were today and just agriculture in general is that we felt that the verbiage in our vision and mission was somewhat limiting. And we wanted to make sure that we came across as inclusive of everyone, no matter what your role is in agriculture. Not everyone identifies as a farmer or a rancher. Some identify as a grower, or they may have another way that they identify their role in agriculture. So our vision is that women in agriculture are change agents who strengthen their businesses, families, and communities. And our new mission is that we empower women in agriculture to be successful through education, networks, and resources.
Thanks, Carisha. And now for our priorities, Madeline.
Well, I'm happy to tell you about our strategic priorities. So the strategic priorities are something that the board reviews and sets every 3 years. So as you can see, these are the priorities that we have for 2021 to 2023. So we're about exactly in the middle of that right now. So the first priority is resource development and just thinking about the sustainability and longevity of the Annie's Project nonprofit. And so we are looking at expanding our corporate partnerships, exploring additional grants that may be available through USDA or other sources, and also seeking donations through a donation button on our website, and talking to women who may want to provide donations in other ways as well. So then we move on to developing some online programming. And this really came about, of course, through the pandemic, where we really needed to move to an online model. So prior to the pandemic, Annie's Project was only offered face-to-face. And now that we have come through the pandemic, we are offering face-to-face programs, online programs, and a hybrid or a combination of online and face-to-face. So we're really excited about continuing both the online and face-to-face types of programs, because each has its place and there's an audience for each. So we are working to improve both of those delivery options. So thirdly, we want to strengthen some of our networks that we have among our facilitators of Annie's Project, as well as the alumni from our programs. So some of the ways we're working on to facilitate those networks is things like this coffee shop here today. We also have facilitator calls on a regular basis. We just had one last Friday. Lots of great attendance and lots of great sharing going on there, as well as some opportunities to engage our alumni through social media, through special events, and we're planning a leadership conference as a new activity that we would like to invite both facilitators and alumni to. So those are just a few things, and along with all three of these key areas is marketing and branding, just to keep reaching out to our audiences, to stay connected to them, and to just increase our awareness across the country. So I'll turn it back to you, Doris.
Thanks, Madeline. And so, you know, that doesn't encapsulate everything that we do, but it gives you where we've decided that we really needed to make a focus for the next few years. I'm going to ask Carisha to move one more forward, and this is, I promise, the last slide, and the rest of it we'll have our opportunity to have a really good conversation here. But a sampler of some of our action steps that we've taken. We have started an Annie's Project Advisory Committee. and we had a successful transition to online delivery. And this is something that we had actually talked about pre-pandemic, but we really got kicked into gear because of the pandemic. So this kind of moved us along a little faster in the process, and Krish and I were grateful for that. Just flip back to the Annie's Project Advisory Committee. This is the first time we've had an advisory committee. It's made up of 15 terrific people that come from different walks of agriculture. We have some people that are alumni of the program. We have some folks that work in extension and finance, and we have a rural mental health specialist. We have somebody from USDA. We have a mix of producers, other ag professionals, educators, and it's really been a terrific group to bring new ideas into Annie's project and add some more horsepower to help us get things done. And in addition to this, we are looking at the advisory committee as potentially development grounds for our board of directors. So people get some experience and some development, leadership development in our advisory committee, and then we're hoping that they will apply to move up to the board of directors. And as Madeline alluded to, we have new programming activities and curriculum, one of which is the coffee shop. We've also started an Annie's Conversations series, which we've done kind of a Q&A on some things that we're seeing on social media. So we did one program with USDA FSA on grants and other ways of funding your operation, and that was very well received. And we have another one coming up that we're going to be talking about veterans and farming. And so we have other ideas. So as we see things develop on social media, we're really trying to pull those questions and get some expertise behind that. And as I said, have been very successful. We've also started to do some podcasts. We're doing some national webinars, and we've got a new series coming up where we're going to feature women in different roles in agriculture and have them provide some informational meetings and webinars to alumni and current participants of Annie's project. So those are some of the new things, and we're also working on some new curriculum ideas as well. So a lot of things coming down the pike. I'm going to turn it over to Carisha to talk about the last three on our list.
As Doris mentioned, we have an advisory committee that helps to provide information to our board on certain issues. And two of the issues that have rose to the top that we really wanted to work on more was our national evaluation and then alumni engagement. And so we've actually formed two task force that are working on these two issues. The national evaluation, it's what goes out to all of our Annie's Project participants to kind of fill out. It just helps us to have a finger on the pulse of the impact of Annie's Project, and is there ways that we can improve the program? Are there some things we can do different? So the evaluation is really important to us, and we appreciate this task force helping us to formulate something that better fits where Annie's Project is now, not only at the national level, but also for the various states that are conducting the program. And then alumni engagement, just ways to reach out to our alumni to get them involved, to keep them informed of some of the things that we're doing at the national level. Then we're involved in development of new marketing materials. That is something that we've been working really hard on, and Doris has actually taken the lead in that area. We kind of split responsibilities. So Doris, I don't know if you have particular examples you want to share with the marketing materials, but just ways to continue to get Annie's Project out in front of people. And then, as Ruth had mentioned earlier, she started this program in 2003. So next year is our 20th anniversary, which is very exciting to us. So we have a lot of things in the works for next year. I think we're going to try to have some mini celebrations throughout the year, and just ask that you stay tuned on what we're going to do, and we hope that you'll be able to join in on one of the celebrations that we have planned.
Great. Thank you, Carisha. And for 20th anniversary, just next month in June, we are going to have a listening session open to our stakeholders, and we'll then be forming a steering committee that will start working on our 20th anniversary items. We do have some things in mind, but again, we want to really bring in stakeholder thoughts, and would really appreciate your involvement in that. At this time, I'm going to ask Carisha to take the slides down, and let's have a conversation. Hopefully, we've stirred your curiosity. As I said, Carolyn Banks, Dee Singh Knights, Madeline Schultz, and Ruth Hambleton are here as board of directors members, and they are ready and willing to answer questions about the strategic priorities, about Annie's project in general, whatever you have questions about, and whatever they want to kick back to Carisha and I, they will, but I'm going to turn it over to Madeline to kind of lead some discussion here. And please feel free to unmute or put your questions in the chat box, and we will respond to those. So Madeline.
Hi, everyone. Hopefully you learned a little bit with our quick review of our mission and vision, as well as our strategic priorities. One of the things I've been real excited about is all of our new board members that we have this year, as well as our committees and subcommittees that are working on everything from program evaluation to marketing and lots more committee work. So it's really exciting to see all those committees moving forward. So I'd like to just open it up to your questions or comments, and maybe we can just think about some of our priorities. So our first priority that we mentioned was the resource development and continuing to enhance our partnerships and collaborations and looking for those new grant opportunities. So are there some questions or comments that you all may have about that?
I might throw in there too, when we're talking about resource development, it isn't just about money. It could be developing new partnerships with different organizations in different states. And we've been successfully expanding on that work that we've done. So we're really looking at new opportunities. And for people, you know, we're certainly approaching organizations where we might see a fit, but you may see a fit, or you may have an opportunity that might come up, and we're open to having those conversations.
If I could
Hey,
jump in
baby.
here for just
What you doing?
if I could jump in there for just a second. Karen Westbrook, you've got your hand up. Let's talk to you. Karen is one of our early alumni, actually.
Yes. I think took it in 2004 or 5, the class. Several times. I didn't pass it the first time. And then I've worked all the way up through everything. But I guess my question is now, and Doris, you may be better fit to answer this, but I know Illinois Agri-Women is very interested in trying to figure out how we can reconnect with Annie's project within Illinois. I don't know if you're working on the national level to make those connections, but I know we have a lot of young women now that are involved that haven't been exposed to Annie's project or on the business side, but they're really interested in learning about what they can do with their customers, so to speak, to get them more involved in the women's efforts or initiatives across the board for agriculture. So I was just wondering how you are dealing with the state organizations.
Well, we're certainly open to, you know, working on a pilot project, and it sounds like Illinois might be the place to start that, Karen. You know, so we, of course, when there's an opportunity that's presented to us, I can't say that right now we've been going out and looking at connecting with agri-women that had been an interest a while ago, and then there have been some changes nationally in the organization that might preclude that from happening, but certainly interested in looking at, you know, potential pilots with states and see how that goes, and kind of kind of test a concept and see how that works, and then potentially move that to a wider spread activity. So I think it's always good to try some things out before you roll out something to the whole country, and we're really open to doing that.
I'll get in touch then.
Great, thank you.
Karen, did I see that Illinois Agri Women, they've got their committee put together for their leadership conference that they do?
Probably. I'm sitting here
Okay,
thinking,
well,
we just met on Women Changing the Face on Friday, which is a high school program, which also might be a good place to bring Annie's in. I know, Ruth, you've spoken to the girls before. We're still trying to play around with the numbers and COVID, and we're open, we're closed, we're open, we're closed, and it's crazy. So yes, in answer to your question, we're trying, Ruth.
Okay. What I was going to suggest is that we get involved with that planning committee, and we can take part in some of those programming. So Karen, you and I are going to talk later on.
Okay, that'd be great. The other thing that I wanted to raise is that we're really trying to reach out to the colleges right now as well. We're working with Southern Illinois University, University of Illinois, and ISU, and that may be another resource to expose the young ladies to Annie's project. So,
And
I'll
we've
get
got
with
some,
you.
and that's a terrific idea. We actually have some the beginnings of some pilots that we're doing with some other 2-year schools, because a lot of those women stay in rural communities and work both in a job and maybe and work on farm as well. So we do have some opportunities there, but we're open to conversations and further developing things.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for bringing up that important partnership with American Agri Women, Karen. That's great. So other thoughts that the group has on partnerships or collaborations or resource development?
Jamie has a good question in chat. She's asking, she wanted to confirm how she could personally get involved on a local or state level, either as a volunteer or as a sponsor.
Can you help her by answering that question, Carisha?
Sure, I would be glad to, and others can join in. So I guess I kind of have a question back to you, Jamie, is are you interested in being involved as a facilitator, or are you interested in just being involved as support, like monetary support or other resources support to the Annie's Project classes going on in your state? There is room to be involved in either way. One of the things that we want to make sure we get across is you do not have to be with any university to be a facilitator. Traditionally, that was how Annie's Project got started. A lot of our facilitators were tied to university extension, but being a facilitator is different than being an instructor. And so if anybody can be a facilitator, you have to go through a facilitator training. We do ask that you follow, our guidelines. We show you how you can reach out and get educators, instructors to come to your classes and be successful with your Annie's Project program. We do have a program coordinator in each state that is kind of the contact person for the state. So we do ask that you involve that person, let that person know about classes that you have scheduled. And that person sometimes has resources that they can provide you and your location. But yeah, as Doris, she put in chat, if you're interested in being a volunteer or sponsor in any way, you just reach out to us at the national level. We can definitely put you in touch with the program coordinator that is in your state and help get things going. So I opened it up to our other board members and Doris, see if you have anything else to add to that question.
I will add that we'll gladly take volunteers on the national level too. So we're thrilled to have that. And in fact, Carisha and I are involved in a facilitator training actually yesterday and today, and Carisha will need to leave a few minutes early. So when she disappears, you'll know that she is actually going to get our facilitator training started for the day, and we'll have another one in June.
You're muted, Doris. We missed
Oh, I'm
that
sorry.
last bit.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was hovering to mute myself, but we will have another training in June, late June. So if you have an interest, we do offer those on a pretty regular basis. So if you are interested in becoming a facilitator, we do have opportunities coming up.
Okay, well, thanks so much for that question, Jamie. And we appreciate all the answers, Carisha and Doris. So that's wonderful. I saw that we had a comment too about high school involvement. I know here in Iowa, we are trying to make an effort to just reach out to FFA students and invite them to programs. And there may be other opportunities to connect with that audience too. So any thoughts from the group on involving high school students in women in ag programs?
I would probably just like to add, and again, I'm DC Nice. I went to West Virginia on the board of directors as well as state coordinator. And I think it's really important as we continue Annie's project that we reach out to these diverse audiences, right? High school, veterans group, I think somebody mentioned in here, because like women in general, we all have, women have unique needs and they feel free to discuss those when they get together with peers or like-minded peers. And I think even within that, we have certain subsets that when you drill down, they have certain unique needs as well. Our high school students, our veteran populations, our BIPOC communities, and so on. And so I think as we think about expanding, it's wonderful to see that we're thinking about these underserved audiences and try to bring them under the ambit of Annie's project. So yeah, kudos to you guys for doing that.
All right, thanks, Dee.
So I am a past graduate and host at Madeline. I don't know if you remember coming to Carroll and we did Annie's Project 1 and 2 over here. So I would be super interested in learning to be a facilitator, to be a host again, and to continue to help at a national or state level as well.
Thank you, Lisa. That is great to hear. Appreciate your interest.
And Lisa, I'm going to put my email in chat. And so for any of you that are interested in becoming facilitators or getting involved more at a national level, you could just shoot me an email. I'm the one that helps to organize the facilitator trainings.
That would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, well, let's move on to another one of our topics with our online, hybrid, and face-to-face programming. We have been working to improve all of those. We've had a lot of really great success with the online programming. So what questions or comments do you have about the different delivery methods that we have? We have the traditional once a week, 6-week, 18-hour class. We also have some states that are doing some Annie's Project retreats. So there are actually a lot of different models that we have for actually offering Annie's Project. So questions or thoughts on the actual programming? Are there those of you here that have attended Annie's Project virtually over the past couple of years? Could you share your experience if so?
I don't know, Dee, you have some interesting things that you've been doing virtually. I think it'd be great if you could share a little bit about that.
Sure, I'm happy to do that. So I think one of the things, even pre-pandemic, women are often challenged with, the limitations of childcare and preparing dinner, and then the cost and the time for travel and so on. And so we felt a need to sort of reach out to these women and have they connect remotely to Annie's project. Of course, it was, a very steep learning curve. It works for some people and not for others. So with respect to, you really have to remain engaged and so on. It's the same thing if any of you have taught classes in person and online, you know that there are some people that perform better in online situations, right? Just because of their characteristics. So we have found out that early on, we lay it out on the table and then people can assess whether their qualities will match with face-to-face or online. One of the things that is sort of the cornerstone of Annie's project is that networking and that sharing experiences and best practices with your peers in that class. And so I think one of the most important things when you're doing virtual delivery is to provide that forum for connecting the participants, right? That networking, which is equally important, or sometimes even more important than the transfer of that technical information. So that is why sometimes it's probably preferable to have what we refer to as that hybrid option. And a hybrid option would be how we have done it in West Virginia is for the first session, we meet in person. That way they get to know each other, so that for the next 4 sessions, they can do online, but they've already met each other. So they're a little more familiar and they can reach out and have discussions and so on. And then for the very last session, we come back in person as well. So we kind of conclude and then we kind of set it up where there is ongoing discussion after the program has ended. But I would really encourage you, either as participants or as facilitators, don't underestimate that the networking portion, even when we're doing virtual delivery.
Thank you, Dee. We really appreciate those ideas, and that is a great way to do it, is to bring people together face to face and then do some virtual programming and then give them another chance to meet up. I love that. So here at
Alicia, you got your dissertation on Annie's project, and is that not one of your points that you found in your work, was the networking was what they valued most?
It was one of the things that came up to the top. So I was actually surprised how strong that came out in my research. I looked at participants in 3 states that had gone through Annie's project over a 10-year period, but I focused on Missouri, Illinois, and Iowa. And yes, the networking component was a huge component for the women that participated in this study.
So we had a comment in chat from Linda saying that she had attended a class in 2017 or thereabouts, and she really enjoyed it, but she said that a lot of people have not heard about Annie's project, and she's in Central Texas. Well, we're trying to change that, Linda, and we're really working hard on expanding our reach. We have reached over 18,000 women to date in programming, and sometimes we have people, men and people that identify otherwise participate in our programming as well. And so although we are women-centered on our programming and we embrace that, and that's kind of our key audience, we don't discriminate either. So people, we just had a Annie's project in the Northeast. We did a national one with several states in the Northeast on Know Your Numbers. And we had people, a wide range of people involved in that. And, we're happy to embrace that. People just need to understand kind of where we're coming from, is that that's kind of that women-centric programming. So we've had some really great sessions, and we hope to let other people know about the work that we're doing.
And Linda, we're working
And
on
Linda, Yeah, and Linda, I just wanted to make the comment that our history has always been with Annie's Project. We were demand driven. We waited for somebody to come knock on our door. If you look at our strategic priorities through 2023, we're going to try to turn that around where people will have heard of Annie's Project rather than us wait for them to contact us. So that is one of our pivot points. And Linda, you're making that point with us.
And Linda, I also wanted to add, we are training some new facilitators for Texas. We had our last facilitator training, we had someone, and then we have a facilitator training in June, and there's another person from Texas. So we're trying to get more facilitators for your state. It's a large state, and the more facilitators that we can have, the better we can get the word out and have more classes going for you. So we are working on that.
Are your facilitator trainings state focused, or are they open like for travel?
Right now our facilitator trainings are virtual. So that's something that came about because of COVID. And previously we did travel to a specific state and do the training, but with the virtual trainings, we have folks from multiple states join in. Like the current training we're doing yesterday and today, I think we have 8 states that are involved in it. And I really like that approach because I think it aids back to that networking where you're able to connect with folks from different states. You're able to share your experiences and maybe what works for you in your state compared to someone in other states. And now in the world of virtual, it can be where you can even speakers, if you know a good speaker in your state, it could be something that could be shared. Another state could access them virtually. So I think there's a lot of positives to the virtual training. We are looking at having some in-person training start up again in the future, but I feel like the virtual training will always, there'll be a place and for it. So
Absolutely, and especially those on a travel budget. My other question is really quickly, and you may have stated this, but I was looking on the website and I do have your email set up to email you after, but is that the only way that we find out when the trainings are, is by contact, or is there information posted somewhere that I didn't find on the website?
That's a great question, Lacey. So until now, the trainings have been somewhat internal. We haven't posted them on our website. So if people contact me, I have them on a list. I reach out to them when we have another training scheduled. I reach out to all of our program coordinators in the states and let them know that we have a training schedule. But you bring up a really good point, and I think that we need to perhaps start looking at having something posted on our website if people are interested in being a facilitator, that they could more easily find out about it.
I have shared my my telephone number in the chat for those in Mississippi. Also, I can connect you with Sylvia Clark, who is our state coordinator for the Annie's Project. So those in Mississippi, feel free to give me a call.
Thank you, Carolyn. That will be helpful.
Carolyn, you may end up getting calls from other people too, so just
Okay.
be prepared for that. Carolyn's a wealth of knowledge and connections. So if as are all of our board members, but the 4 ladies we've got on with us today are really terrific in their connections and breadth and depth of knowledge in agriculture. We've had some good suggestions too. Some people have requested certain topics, so we'll take those under consideration. So if you have topics that you think Annie's maybe should look at covering, you can put those in chat, or you can unmute and talk about those too. But thanks to the people that are providing suggestions.
Doris, earlier you mentioned know your numbers, and I was wondering if you could just take a minute and explain what is Annie's Project, Know Your Numbers, managing for today and tomorrow? What are those and how?
Sure. Well, so we have a lot of people refer to Annie's Project, and they think about what we call our Class 1 or Annie's Classic program, which is the kind of the first step. It's an 18-hour program, and people do it in a variety of methods. It covers the 5 areas of risk management, I know I'm answering more than you asked for, Madeline, but just so people have a kind of the lay of the land if you're
Sure.
not real familiar with Annie's. So we have what started off was the kind of traditional Annie's project was the five areas of risk management, 18 hours and of program time, and different states and different localities do it differently. Some of them might do it in 6 3-hour sessions. Some might do it in a retreat style. Some might meet twice a week. Some might meet virtually. Some might meet hybrid. Some might meet totally in person now that a lot of the COVID restrictions are gone. So everybody kind of does it a little bit differently, but you have to cover the 5 areas of risk management. And then we saw as we moved along that there are certain areas that are in each state, again, offers expanded programming. A lot of our states have expanded the type of programming depending on the women that they're working with. A lot of women get done with the first course and say, wow, I'd really like to continue to meet, or they have some specific needs. And so nationally, we developed Managing for Today and Tomorrow, and that's really looking at transition and estate planning, and that kind of focused on, you know, moving the farm to the next generation or figuring out what you're going to do with your farming, ranching, or growing operation when you're no longer going to wish to operate it, or when you pass on to the next, the great beyond. So we have that. And then we also added a Know Your Numbers, Know Your Options, which is really taking a deeper dive into the financials of the operation, developing a better understanding for financial statements, financial analysis, benchmarking, and those types of things. And we've been referring to that program. We did a pilot project in the Northeast from a national standpoint, but many of our states run Know Your Numbers, Know Your Options programming. I know that Susan Hobeck, that just is sitting there. I can see her on my screen. They just finished one that they've done. We've had Nebraska really kicked it off and started doing a lot of, they really kind of were the genesis of that, but we saw that there was really a need to expand things nationally. And a lot of our states have additional programming. They might start marketing clubs for their Annie's Project participants. They might meet on whatever topic that is pertinent. And that's, I think, the thing that is really terrific about Annie's. We've seen the development of many different types of programming across the country. And as we are able and we see demand increasing, we then develop national programming that would address some of those. So for instance, urban agriculture is becoming more prevalent. And so a lot of our states do things there. So we are looking at how we can maybe develop some things and spread that wealth of knowledge. But that's the terrific thing about our people across the country, sharing knowledge and sharing best practices. And really, these are exciting times for us and the programming that we offer. And thanks, Steve, for putting that in the chat.
Yes, thank you, Dee, and thank you, Doris. I think that's helpful just to kind of remind people that there are those various programs available, and great explanation there. So our third major priority for this 3-year period is really expanding that network, both among the facilitators as well as among Annie's Project alumni. And I know we have quite a few alumni with us here today, so that is fantastic. We're so happy to have you with us today. So, you know, just what comments or questions do you have on being a facilitator, being an alumni, or how might you like to connect with others?
Sorry, it keeps muting on me. Is there any type of networking group that Annie's Project has currently done? I mean, I know that I would really not like to see a Facebook group, but even some kind of portal that has been created to where people can go in there and ask for speakers from another state or ideas, or some kind of collaboration to where we can all keep up with the information without it being so segmented by emails, or just a way for us to connect on a continual basis, I guess I should say.
Thanks, Lacey. That sure is a great idea. And I'm not sure if we've actually considered that through our website yet. So that is something we could look into.
Yeah, I mean, we do have, Lacey, we do have the standard Facebook group, but that's one of the things that we've talked about is how do we better engage with people? So, you know, we welcome ideas, Lacey, and if you want to help be part of a working group, let us know. So
I
we
would
are,
love that. Just
we are-
yesterday, I teach a lot of leadership development too.
excellent.
And one of the ladies that I follow or mentor under, she's out of California, and she just developed her own. It almost the platform itself almost mimics kind of a Facebook LinkedIn combination, but she sends
Okay.
out the invites, elects to sign up, and then it turns into a portal where you can log in and there's information set there, but it's all pertaining just to the general knowledge of what we are studying and doing versus whatever you're going to see on Facebook or LinkedIn or something along those lines.
Sure.
So, and that way it kind of keeps it more narrow for those people who are a deep dive into it versus just wants the general information that is out there on Facebook.
Certainly. Well, Lacey, we'd welcome your help. We are setting up working groups, so we're going to start setting those up to start working in June and July and over the summer, and then continue into the fall on these different things that we're looking at doing. So you've seen my email. I'm in charge of working groups, so if you want to shoot me an email, I'd be happy to engage you. And that's the case for any of you. We love to have you engaged and involved because that's how Annie's improves, gets better, and connects with other groups.
Thanks, Doris. And I'm super excited about those working groups as well as committees. So the working groups are more kind of like our ad hoc groups for new ideas and things that are coming up. And we have some established committees for kind of those longer term things. So we would love to have you jump in on some of those working group opportunities. And it's just, a short term commitment and, on a specific task. So that's really helpful. And we're glad you're interested in being a part of those.
Got a question for Daisy Kern. You said a Discord group would be a good option. What is it? Okay, here's my ignorance in the technology. What's a Discord group? That's for Daisy.
Discord is it's an app separate from Facebook, separate from any of the other social media outlets that can organize the topics. So you can have your facilitator by state, you can have, new ideas, you can have where you have questions. So it's organized, but it's open to, you can do it invite only, or it can be open to the public.
Thank you.
Thanks for explaining that, Daisy. Always more to learn.
No problem.
So we have some online ways to connect online suggested. Other ways that you might like to connect as facilitators or as alumni.
I think I'd probably like to throw out an idea, something that our facilitators have been talking about in West Virginia. So one of the issues that our women farmers are talking more about is the issue of farm stress and mental health. And that networking, I'm going to come back to that networking. That's just such a crucial underpinning for everything we do in Annie's project. And being able to connect with other women, sometimes just kind of getting that off your shoulder, being able to talk about, the stresses and what has worked for other people that you might try on your farm, other peers, that is. So one of the things we're exploring is to be able to do some podcasts that is going to be, a continuation of what they learned during that 6 weeks. One of the things that we really see is that people want to be these continuous learners, right? They just don't want it to end. You see that sadness at the end of that 6 weeks period, that they do want to continue these friendships, these networks, and so on. So podcasts are a good way to kind of keep that education going, and of course, the networking.
And I think it's really important that you brought that up. The farm stress, ag stress kind of area D is really critical. In fact, Annie's nationally is part of the Cultivating Resiliency collaboration, and which works on addressing resiliency and stress reduction for women in agriculture. And we do have a monthly coffee chat where people can participate anonymously. And in that case, people can either chat, verbalize, or type in what's challenging them. And that's become a real community of very supportive people, women in agriculture, to assist each other and kind of shore each other up. And we also offer monthly webinars as well on different skills and, you know, trying to help people build up their resiliency, or talk about mental health, or farm stress, ag stress projects. And so we get a wide range of women that are participating in those programs, and they've been quite well thought of. And we're looking at kind of expanding, letting people knowing about those as well. Some of it's is a challenge is getting the word out to everybody, such as, you know, whether it be Annie's project in general, or on farm and agricultural stress.
Thanks a lot, Doris. I'm glad you brought up the Cultivating Resiliency. And maybe if you wouldn't mind, do you have a link you could pop into the chat there in case others are interested? They could kind of learn a little bit more about that in case they're not on your listservs already.
Sure, I will get the link here. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, this has been a great conversation so far, and we're just really pleased that so many of you could join us today for our coffee chat. So we really appreciate you taking some time out of your day. So we have just a few minutes left before 10 o'clock. So I'd just sure like to open it up, and please go ahead and unmute yourself or type your comments in the chat box, and we're just happy to take a few more comments or questions. I see some of you are putting some topics of interest in the chat box, and that's certainly welcome. Thank you so much. We appreciate that.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have attended Annie's project twice, in 2009 and again in 2019. And I enjoyed both of them thoroughly, but in 19, I was in a better place because in 09, I had small children at home. And in 19, I really got a lot out of it, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was in Peoria, Illinois. And one little kickoff that I just thought I'd share that's kind of neat is that one of our sessions was on marketing. And we still meet, a group of us are like, hey, we want to know more about marketing. And the gal that did it is willing to meet with us. So we meet about every month or 6 weeks. And we still get together from Annie's project. That's where it started. So the connections are huge. And we do talk about marketing for a whole hour, but I will say that we enjoy the social part of it too. So I just wanted to kind of give you positive feedback on that. And I would be interested, you had mentioned a little bit earlier about, I don't know if you called it leader, something like a follow-up for those that have attended, if it's in the area or if that's online, or what is that? I just went on and looked at the map, and Illinois has Annie's project coming up in Lewiston, which is an hour from me, but I'm not interested at this point because I've attended twice. So just an encouragement that this is a fantastic program, and the relationships are excellent that we've developed. So I still have some from the first group too, but it resonated more with me in my stage of life, and just the group that was there. We really have enjoyed each other.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that, Crystal. We really appreciate hearing about that, and I'm glad that you found a great network.
Well, and Crystal, be assured that we do have some things coming up. We have some leadership development things that will be coming in the future, and some other programming. So there'll be some new things to be offered, and hopefully some of that will be offered in your local area or will be offered virtually, and you can attend that way.
Okay, thank you. One of the passions I have is empowering, especially young women, to come alongside their husband. You know, we can fight farming or we can join right in and learn and become a part of it. And Annie's project has definitely helped me to learn. Like, it gives me the right questions to ask my husband. It's like, okay, honey, tell me about this on our farm, you know, or tell me I need to come alongside you. And before I didn't know what to ask. And so it kind of gives you the know-how of what to ask. So I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you so much, Crystal. And I see Ruth smiling and grinning. And I know she's thinking, we hear this so many times that women feel like they have the right questions to ask. Annie's project opens the doors to those conversations and really helps women become a stronger partner in their farming operation. So it's great that you shared your story.
Well, thanks for what all you do.
You're welcome. Other thoughts or comments as we close out the hour here?
I have a comment to make. I am an original Iowan, and because I was living in Florida, I took the Annie's projects early on in South Carolina because it was close and they offered weekend sessions. But from there, it's just segued, and I'm now living in North Carolina with a small farm, but I very connected back to Iowa. And Annie's project, even though perhaps there were not continuing classes for me to take, I was able to find so many other groups as well, like recently Women Caring for the Land, a small group out of Iowa, and then the Farm Transition Network group, which is going to meet in Nebraska soon. It's very easy to meet once a year or so to connect with some of these groups. I've seen Madeline at a number of these things over the years. So familiar faces, and it's just, it's so, I just keep learning how much I don't know. But it's all good. I mean, I learn a lot, but I keep learning. There's so much more. So I really, my beginning was with Annie's project way over 10 years ago. So I appreciate it. I just, all positive and like the sound of your other classes. I see that there's nothing anywhere in the North Carolina, this whole area doesn't have much offered. I looked on the website, so I'll be in touch. You know, we'll have to do something out here.
Great, Carolyn.
Anyway,
Sounds
thank
good.
you.
Thank you, Carolyn. Well, thanks so much for joining us, everyone, for this coffee hour. I feel like, wow, we have covered a lot in an hour. It's been really interesting, and so many of you have stayed until the very end. So I'm glad that you've been interested in hearing from others across the country, and we hope to see you again at another coffee chat. And we look forward to hearing from you too. And thanks, Carolyn, Doris, and Karisha. You've all got your contact information in the chat box there. So we'll leave that open for a few minutes in case you didn't get a chance to copy down those emails. So have a wonderful week, everyone. Memorial Day is coming up. Enjoy the upcoming national holiday and have a great summer.
Thank you, everyone. And look for future programming. And if you have any questions again on anything, please get in touch with Karisha or myself via our emails that we put in the chat. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Doris.